Hey peeps, it's the Pink King here, and we are back with the Dinosaur King x Jurassic World Rebirth fusions. Last time I said if we got 300 likes, I'd make a part 2, and you guys absolutely smashed that like goal. So today, we're going to be continuing with the Rebirth designs. But first, we need to name our last few designs. That's right, peeps. You guys left a ton of creative names in the comments of the last video, but as everyone says, there could only be one winner. So, for the Quetzalcoatlus, and yes, it turns out it was a Quetzal after all, and not a Hatzegopteryx. Thank you, marketing, for not being specific. But in the end, say hello to the new Quetzal, Henry. Such a funny name, I like it. Suggested by Baby Cook Sir. And for our bad boy, the Distortus Rex, there was a lot of good name suggestions. A lot of you got really creative with this, but I think my personal favourite would have to go to the one suggested by Roxtrap Uwu, Xeno the Distortus Rex. Very fitting name, honestly, considering how mutinous and almost alien-like the Distortus Rex is. I think the name Xeno fits perfectly. But yes, peeps, it's about time we got into today's designs. But just before we do, if you guys want to see a part 3 to this, then get this video to 300 likes within a week. Because believe it or not, I've already drawn a couple more fusions, but they are locked away right now in my basement. And the only way you guys are ever going to see it is if you like this video. So, if you ever want to see them, like this video right now, or they will be destroyed forever, never to be seen again. And with all that stuff out the way, peeps, let's get into today's designs. Yup, we are starting with what is probably the most controversial new addition to the Jurassic franchise in a while, the Mutadons. Now, for me, the Mutadons were probably some of the most wasted dinosaurs in the entire movie. Let's be honest, mainly because they don't really stand out and they feel more like generic monsters rather than, mutated dinosaurs, which is kind of unfortunate because, I saw that there was a lot of fan art or concept art with mutated velociraptors, and when I see the passion and the potential that people have done with that, it makes me feel like they could have done something with that in the movie. Maybe have the two-headed raptor like the one we saw in the trailers show up at some point. That could have been really interesting and a lot of fun. I think something like that could have really been interesting, but as it is, it's fine. But when it came to transferring the Mutadons into the Dinosaur King art style, I thought I'd play around with it a little bit. Not much, just a little bit. As if you notice, I'm actually drawing 2 Mutadons here instead of 1. And well, that's because as the Mutadon is a very enhanced and sort of manipulated creature, I thought I'd take some inspiration from the Velociraptors in Dinosaur King, as just like the Mutadons, they were manipulated by Seth in order to be stronger and much more freakier. So having the Mutadons be in one card seemed like an idea that just made sense to me, hence why there are 2 here. But also, I didn't just make both Mutadons identical, as if you look close enough, I actually took a lot of inspiration from the Jurassic Park 3 raptors, as I think the ones in Rebirth are pretty much the same species, just with some slightly different color changes. And seeing as the Mutadons are made with Velociraptor, I feel like maybe having a lot of influence from the JP3 raptors would have been really fun. So I ultimately made these Mutadons sexually dimorphic with the colors of the JP3 raptors, as I made the male one more blue and darker, and the female one much more tanned with greener, darker spots. And I even included the iconic JP3 Raptor quills in order to help give it, just a little bit more personality in comparison to where it originally was in the movie. Honestly, as much as this design is kind of lazy, it's actually a lot of fun to draw. I don't know why, but the way it's built is really appealing for my monkey brain. But in terms of its move card, well, these Mutadons have a move I like to call Abomination Assault. Once activated, both Mutadons will actually fuse together into a much larger Mutadon composed of pure energy, this giant Mutadon will rampage towards its opponent with energy so intense the Mutadons are struggling to stay together. And once in range, they will grab the enemy and fly them into the air before crashing back down to Earth, unleashing a powerful EMP. However, due to the unstable nature of the Mutadons, this attack does damage them also, so if they are really low on health while they use the attack, they will return to their move card because they would have lost all their health. And with that, may I present you all the Mutadons. Overall, I was really happy with these results. I feel like they could have been a bit better. They're certainly not my best work, but on its own, I definitely feel like they're sort of an improvement over the ones we saw in the movie. But speaking of the movie, let's get to our final big boy from Rebirth, with... I mean, how could I not do the Titanosaur? Not only is it such a cool dinosaur, but it's so unique in design that I had to give a crack at it. Now, if I'm going to be honest, I do have to say I have a big pet peeve with this dinosaur. Because in the movie, they're shown to be, absolute titans, the biggest dinosaurs we have ever seen from the franchise yet. And yet, there's a herd of them, probably in the hundreds, just casually chilling on the island. A island with hundreds of gigantic creatures like these. There is zero reason why this dinky little island is able to support these titans. There's just no way. It's beyond goofy. But when it came to translating it to the Dinosaur King art style, I had something I wanted to try. And that was make the colours feel more animated, as if you notice in the movie, they're much more greyer with very few orangey bits on their frills. So to make it feel more creative, I decided to look at the sauropods in the Dinosaur King anime, and most of them, for the most part, were green with some interesting patterns on them, so I decided to match the Titanosaurs to the grasslands they inhabit, with it giving an almost camouflaged appearance to its body, so when it's laying down in order to sleep or something, it's completely invisible to any predators. And I even made the underbelly a very nice orange, so when the Titanosaur gets in a fight, it can stand up on its hind legs and use its bright underbelly in order to scare off its enemies and make it seem like it's bigger than it actually is. As for the most part, despite being so massive, it's mostly a very peaceful dinosaur that will only fight if it feels like there's no other choice, such as if its life is in danger or someone it cares about is, similar to Genie from the anime, who was very protective over the princess. For its move card, however, I had a lot of fun with it. I decided to give it the move I call Titanic Vines, where once activated, it will use its tail to dig into the earth, connecting itself to the very roots of the soil, where once it will be connected, it will sprout gigantic vines from the earth that will ensnare its opponent, dragging them underground and through the earth, as the vines drag them at rapid speeds before throwing them out of the ground into the air so they crash down to the soil they emerged from. No dinosaur is able to survive this hit. It is a one-shot move card. However, if your dinosaur is fast enough, it should be able to avoid the vines, as this move's accuracy leaves much to be desired. And with that, may I give you all Titanosaurus. And there we have it, peeps. 2 more completed Rebirth designs to add to the collection. Now, when it came to these 2 designs, my favorite is, Probably the Mutadons, actually. Yeah, I know, surprisingly, because of how much slack I talked about them. I feel like they're really interesting, and I like the sort of gimmick of having a mated pair be in one move card, essentially. As always, be sure to comment down below what names you think these guys should be called. And who knows, your suggestion might be the one chosen for the potential part 3. As remember, peeps, 300 likes now. I'm giving you a week. Because last time, it was very close. It was like on the last day we hit 300 likes in that video. So, if you want to see the designs I have already made so they don't get destroyed, 300 likes right now. I better see that within a week. Because if a week passes and there's still like 299 likes, yeah, those designs, gone, cooked up, destroyed. But with that, peeps, it's been the Pink King here, and I will see you all next time.